I'm Erin Roberts. I'm a partner at Zzeem, and today we're talking about something that is critical and is often overlooked. We all have a vision and a mission, but when did we last review them? And more importantly, when did we last use our vision and our mission? Today we're going to talk about how to get your vision and mission well defined and working for you. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, Zzeem is a consulting and an association management agency, and it's our pleasure to have you join us. For those of you who are regular attendees at our events, you know we deliver practical, valuable information in about 30 minutes that you can use immediately. These events also give us an opportunity to help you see some of the work that we do. So when you're looking for help, we hope you'll reach out to us. Today, I'm going to share with you some clear and simple techniques to define a meaningful and resonant mission and vision, and to use them effectively in your daily work. So why do they matter? Well, really, your vision and your mission are your identity. And they not only express your identity to the outside world, which includes your clients and the sources of your revenue, it also expresses your identity to yourselves. So when you've got a good solid vision and mission, it should be clear to all of your stakeholders, internal and external, what matters to you and why you're there. They are also absolutely critical for strategic planning and critical filters for decision making. So that's why they matter, and that's why it's definitely worth spending time on them. So what we're going to be talking about today, we'll talk about the difference between the vision and the mission. I'll give you some tips for how to articulate a really good vision and mission, and then we'll talk about how to use them. So in terms of the podcast invitation list, this podcast is part of the High Performance Membership Organization series, otherwise known as the HPO podcast. If you'd like to find out more about what an HPO is all about, just scan the QR code on the screen. If this link was forwarded to you, get your own personal subscription and don't miss an episode. Just scan the QR code. And if you'd like a copy of the slides, just reach out to me and we'll definitely send you a copy. So let's talk about the board filters. The board has three important filters to help it with decision making. Vision and mission are two of them. The third one is the value we deliver to our target audience. So if we're a charity, for example, it's the value we deliver to the clients that we serve. If we're a membership organization, that's our value to our members, otherwise known as the member value proposition. We're not going to be talking about this element today, but we are going to be covering it next month, so tune in. So what's the difference? Your vision statement is aspirational. It describes the future you aspire to achieve. A mission statement is more practical. It defines the day-to-day work that you do every day that moves you toward that vision and helps you to fulfill that vision. So let's start with the vision, because in the hierarchy of things, the vision is at the top. It comes ahead of everything. It comes ahead of the mission. It comes ahead of the strategic plan. It's kind of our starting point. So what do we need in order to define our vision statement? You really need to answer any one of these three questions. It's basically a statement about what has to change, what is the ideal end state for where we want to be, what does success look like? Any of those questions will get you to your vision. So let's look at a couple of examples. Vision statements are typically self-referential or not. So in other words, self-referential, it's Ontario Bar Association is self-referential. It's all about the Ontario Bar Association. And they can be aspirational or they can be utopian. Habitat for Humanity, they're both aspirational here, but Habitat for Humanity is clearly utopian and it's non-self-referential. So Ontario Bar Association, totally self-referential, and it's aspirational, but not utopian. It is theoretically possible that we could get to this point, but probably not in the very near term. Habitat for Humanity is utopian. It's basically talking about a world where there is no need for Habitat for Humanity to even exist. So you can be at either ends of this spectrum, but either way, you want to be stating the ideal or dream end state. Now, once you have your vision statement drafted, keep in mind you're going to be doing this with the board and probably senior staff to get there. You want to test it outside as well too. Test it with your internal stakeholders and your external stakeholders and make sure that it resonates with them as well too. Because sometimes you mean something and everybody in the room understands it as meaning this thing, but then when you take it outside, you realize, oh, well, that could be interpreted slightly differently. It's not going to require you to do a wholesale change to your vision statement. It just means you'll probably be doing some wordsmithing if it turns out people don't necessarily understand what you're saying. So give it a test drive once you've done it. Now, let's talk about how to define your mission. Basically, what you're doing with your mission is you're going to answer all three of these questions. These are all key elements of your mission. Why do we exist? What's the point? Who do we exist for? And what are we doing for the people or what are we doing for those for whom we exist? Another way of looking at it is what's the problem we're trying to solve? What are we doing about it? Who are we doing it for? And sometimes where. You might want to put geographical area in there as well. So let's have a look at a couple of mission statements. What's the problem we're trying to solve for Humane Canada? Humane Canada. We're trying to end animal cruelty. What are we doing to do it? We're improving animal protection and promoting the humane treatment of all animals. Who are we doing it for? All animals. Now let's go to the Canadian Red Cross. What's the problem? There are times of need for people and communities. What are we doing about it? We're helping and supporting them in strengthening their resilience. Who are we doing it for? People and communities in Canada and around the world. Note we've included the geographical area in our mission statement here. Now, just like the vision, once you've got your mission statement drafted, you want to test drive it. See if you need to do any tweaks to make sure that it's resonating with the people that are important to you that it resonate with. Now, we've got our vision and our mission. We've spent the time putting it together. And by the way, this is not something that needs to take you, a weekend retreat for the board to get your mission and vision together. We will typically do vision and mission when we're doing a strategic planning facilitation with a board of directors. And I would say, it takes an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. If you follow a good process, it shouldn't be that difficult to come up with a good one that is meaningful and is going to get you set up for your strategic plan. So using it, strategic planning is the first thing that springs to mind because you want a really good vision and you're going to be referring back to your vision as you go through your strategic plan. So keep in mind, when you come up with your objectives for your strategic plan, all of them should tie very, very closely back to your vision and your tactics as well too. If your objectives tie back to your vision, your tactics will tie back to your vision as well too. So make sure your vision is front and center as you're doing your strategic planning. It should be right up there and you should be constantly referring back to it. Okay, does this make sense from the perspective of our vision? Because remember, the strategic plan is the thing that's going to take you 3 to 5 years closer to that vision. Now, you can also use it for making decisions. Let's talk about decisions about programs and services. You may want to add a program or a service, remove a program or a service. You want to look at your vision and mission before you make that decision. Anything about adding or cutting back, make sure you run it through your vision and your mission. Directional decisions. Different types of directional decisions, maybe board composition. You might be deciding whether to make it a representative board from a skills-based board or the other way around. That kind of decision, governance decisions, you definitely want to be running through your vision and your mission. And in terms of new member or client categories, if you are a community service organization, for example, you might be deciding, should we move into a new geographical area? Should we add a new client type? If we're a membership organization, maybe we're looking at a new category of member. Always be running that through your vision and mission, because what's going to be great about running it through it is other things will come up. You'll think, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of that, or how is that going to work with this? So critical decisions, absolutely use these filters. What else can we be using them for? We should be using them for marketing as well too. Think about who the target audience is for our services and our programs. Who are these members? Are these clients that we serve? How does our vision and mission resonate with them? It needs to. because they're the end user and we want our vision and mission to resonate with them. So when you're putting it together, think about, how are our various stakeholders going to be reading this as they look at it? And as you're delivering your services to your clients, your services to your members, how are we making that vision and mission real to them when we deliver those services? So we've talked about strategic planning, we've talked about directional decisions, and we've talked about marketing. Three of the key ways to use your vision and your mission. Now, what's the board's role in all of this? The board has to be front and center in articulating that vision and mission. It doesn't mean the board are the only people that should be involved, but they must be involved. Anytime you're doing a new strategic plan, make sure that you spend time to review your vision and your mission and quite possibly revise it. Keep in mind, you're only doing your strategic plan every 3 to 5 years. So it's not like you're doing this again every single year, but you're doing it every time you're looking to make big picture decisions. And strategic planning is definitely big picture decisions. And the other thing the board needs to remember is board not only needs to remember what the vision and the mission is, but the board needs to remember to use the vision and the mission as filters when they're making board decisions. So if you're supporting the board, or you are the secretary, or you're the chair, and you're trying to figure out a good way of making sure that this is clear, when you see an agenda item that is a directional decision, think about reiterating the vision and the mission right there in the agenda, or making a note to refer to the vision and the mission so it reminds people to do that. Because I know even those that have really great vision and mission statements, sometimes we forget to use them in the way that they're intended. So, what are the key takeaways today? First of all, your vision describes the future you aspire to achieve. It isn't where we are right now, and it may be a place we are never going to get to. That's okay. It's where we aspire to achieve. The mission is, why do we exist? What are we doing? And for whom? You're going to be using your vision and your mission for strategic planning, for directional decisions, and for marketing. In other words, attracting more clients, attracting more members. So if you'd like a copy of the slides, just reach out to me and I'd be happy to send you a copy. If you're not on our invitation list or looking at our YouTube channel, by all means, scan the QR codes. And I'm pretty confident we have some questions, Kevin.
Yes, we do. So our first question is, some organizations have missions, visions, and values. Is it important to have a values statement, and why?
Okay, that's a good question. I would be hard pressed to find an organization that doesn't have a vision and a mission. But not all organizations have values. And there's nothing wrong with not having a value statement. If a value statement is an important part of your decision-making exercises, then you should have a value statement, because you're going to be using that as a filter as well too. Just keep in mind, whatever you're creating here, if you don't have a value statement and you feel you should have one, make it succinct. If you've got a value statement that goes on forever, it can be very difficult to use that as a filter because it just covers so much territory. Think about the things that are really, really important from a values perspective. It's not a bucket that we just throw everything into. It's very high level principles, values of our existence.
Thanks, Aaron. Our next question is, why would an organization want to change its mission and/or its vision over time?
Well, if you think about it, many organizations have been around for decades. I mean, I can think of organizations that have been around for over 100 years. It might be that your original vision and mission statement are perfect exactly as they were created 50 years ago or 100 years ago. This isn't something that you have to do. It's something that you have to review. So when you're reviewing your vision and mission, it doesn't mean you have to change them. That's not the goal. The goal is to make sure that they are still highly relevant to what we're doing and still define the goals that we aspire to. I would think Habitat for Humanity. I don't know how old that vision statement is, but I suspect it would have lasted an awfully long time, and it works well from a mission perspective as well too. So I think that they probably will evolve over time, but don't feel that you need to change them. If you feel they're still working, by all means, hold on to them.
Okay, and our next question is who decides on an organization's mission and vision?
For sure, the board takes the leading role in this. The board has to be involved. You'd certainly want the CEO involved as well too, quite probably senior management. In an ideal world, you have it open to as many people as you can, but still enable you to make a decision. If you've got a room full of 100 people and you're trying to get every single team member involved in deciding on the ultimate end vision and mission, that's probably going to be too many people. So if you feel you really want to get everybody else involved, ask them the question. Why do you think we exist? What's the most important thing about our existence? And then bring that into your facilitated session where you're deciding on your vision and mission, and take that as input for coming up with a vision and mission.
Okay, and that seems to be our last question for today.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Kevin. I do want to draw your attention to our next event, which is our live podcast on April 30th. What is your member value proposition? How do you define it? How do you use it? And how do you sell it? Kevin will be reaching out to you to get feedback on any other topics you'd like to see in our webinar and podcast series. And we look forward to seeing you next month.